Hey everybody, and welcome to the Get Speaking English Coffee and Crossword stream. My name is Axel, and while we wait for the stream to begin, let me quickly explain how this activity works and give you some information that will help you do it. So, during the stream, we will go through a crossword similar to the one you see on the screen right now. I'm going to guide the conversation by letting you know which question will work on when. I'm going to explain the question to you, maybe give you some definitions, and then I'm going to give you additional clues, other information, hints, maybe some images to help you figure out the answer with me. So, when you think you know an answer, go ahead and put it in the chat. You'll be able to participate on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. The addresses are all available on the screen. So don't be shy. If you think you know an answer, put it in the chat. And when I see a correct answer, I will add it on the board and we will fill out the crossword together that way. So before we begin though, there are a few important rules that you should know specifically about this stream so we could all have a good time. So my first major rule is no cheating. So don't use the internet unless I tell you to. So we could Google the answers if we want or use websites. We're not going to do that though. We're going to work together instead. So please do not use the internet unless I tell you to do so. Secondly, please follow the conversation. So for example, if we are talking about question number 3, don't start talking about question 19. Also, too, please be patient. We may take some detours along the way. I love to talk about additional vocabulary, phrases, other things that are related to what's in the crossword. So just please be patient. Try to stay with the group and don't ruin it for others. Finally, please be nice to one another. Like I said, you'll be able to participate on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. But let's create a nice, friendly learning environment where people feel like they can participate without judgment and have a good time. So those are my main rules for playing this game. Now I'm going to give you some additional information specifically about this crossword to help you complete it. So the first useful thing to know is that this is an American crossword. So that means that American spelling and vocabulary is going to be used. So you can see on the screen right now some differences between American and British spelling. There are many others. This is just a small sample of some of the differences. There are also differences in the choice of vocabulary, in some of the phrases, some of the slang is different. So usually this crossword uses American English. It's also worth knowing that any of the trivia is usually about the United States, so about American history, American geography. However, we won't need to know much trivia. Thankfully, the majority of the questions in this crossword are about language, they're about English, so we won't need to know a lot about trivia. It's also really helpful to know that the answers match the questions. So the answers will always use the same type of word and the same word form as the word in the question. So for example, if there is a plural in the question, there will be a plural in the answer. If there's an abbreviation in the question, there will be an abbreviation in the answer. So all of that is extremely helpful. Sometimes you will see me put little S's or EDs in places, and that's just good information for us to know to fill out the board faster. Keep that in mind too when you are answering, that your answer should always use the same type of word and the same word form as the question. Also, multiple word answers are okay in this crossword. So sometimes the answer could be a phrasal verb, maybe part of a common phrase or an idiom. part of a sentence. Some of the longer ones are titles of books, titles of movies. This crossword does not indicate when something is a multiple word answer. However, I am usually quick to spot them. I will let you know if something is a multiple word answer, but do keep in mind when you are thinking about the answers to the questions that multiple word answers are possible. Finally, too, because we are here to review English, we're here to learn new words and vocabulary as well. It's important to know that there are words in this crossword that we can't really use in real life. So some of the words are just archaic, they're outdated, they're old-fashioned. Some of them are very formal or used only in very specific contexts. I will try to let you know if you can't use something, and I'll try to give you an alternative expression instead. I'll also let you know when you could use something in a specific context, but do keep that in mind, that there are words in this crossword that even I, as a native English speaker, would never use in real life during a conversation. Anyway, so that's it. Like I said, don't be shy. Go ahead, jump in. The more you participate, the faster this crossword will go. So I do appreciate your help. Also, don't hesitate to ask questions about any of the words we talk about or any of the phrases we discuss. I always love having a good language discussion. So put your questions in the chat. I will try to address them. Finally, if you enjoyed this activity, please give this video a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to the channel or following my Facebook page so you don't miss any future streams. Also, please tell other people about this stream. The more people we can get out, the better. It grows the community, and it will let me host even more free live streams, free events, and other additional affordable group activities for English learners. So thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate you being here, and I love when you participate. And get ready, because we are going to start soon. Hello. I think I'm there. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. My name is Axel. It's morning here in Canada land, very early. And actually, let me know if you can hear me okay, because I am not using my usual mic. I'm trying to be a little bit quieter this morning, so I don't wake people up. But so let me know if you have a hard time hearing me, but hopefully not. I did some tests. Seems like it's fine. Let me know. Anyways, we're going to be doing this crossword today. Just like the little video said, I'm going to direct the conversation. I'm going to let you know which question we are going to work on when. I'm going to give you lots of little hints, clues, descriptions, pictures, definitions, all sorts of things to help you figure out the answer right along with me. If you think you have an answer, put it in the chat as we go along. When I see the answer, I will put it on the board and we will figure out the crossword together that way. Anyways, yeah, so this actually is the one that we're currently looking at is actually not today's crossword, it's yesterday's crossword. But I thought it would be a little bit easier for us to do. Yeah, and let's get
right to it, I guess. And again, if you have problems hearing me, let me know, and I will switch my microphone. But I'm crossing my fingers that this is fine. That we are okay. Anyways, let's get right to it. Oh, and also just a really quick reminder, stay with me. So let's work on whichever question I'm working on. Please don't jump ahead and start talking about questions we haven't looked at yet. If we are working on question number like 6 across, don't start talking about question 5 down, for example. So let's stay together. So this is nice, organized, not chaos, and work together as a team. So it's a lot better if we work together as a team. I really appreciate that. Okay, anyways, microphone is fine. Thank you. Thank you so much. And welcome, Keyword. It's great to see you. Really appreciate you letting me know. I was worried because I just had another thing and it was a problem. So I'm glad that it was working fine. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so let's start with one across here. So spare. If you have a spare of something, you basically you have, you have like one in case there's a problem with the other one. We're basically looking for a bit of a synonym here for spare. An example could be like a spare tire. Some people carry a spare tire in their car, in the trunk of their car. So in case they get a flat, they basically have a tire that they can put on and use in case of emergencies. So basically looking for another little word that we can use to represent that same idea. And welcome, Jacqueline. It's really good to see you. Hope you're doing really well. Yeah. I hope the weather there is really good. It's getting cold. It was warm here, and apparently it might snow this weekend. So it's getting colder again. I'm really upset about the idea of snow. But anyway. Looking for something to do if you have a bit kind of more than you need. Hard to say the answer. It's hard to describe this without actually saying the answer. Extra, exactly. Thank you. So extra. Um, we have a spare something. We have extra of something. So perfect. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's see what else we can do here. See this one really quickly. The sun is shining. Okay, good. That's really nice. I think the sun is shining. I don't even know. I haven't been outside. I've just been like hiding inside. But it's getting colder. Noon on the clock. Number 2 down. I know they have this X here. So noon on a clock, they have this X here, because on old clock faces in particular, they would have, Roman numerals, right? So, so that's why we have this little X here. So I think basically we're looking for whatever the clock says on those, that old style clock, like a grandfather clock, for example. I'll get a picture of a grandfather clock actually, so you guys can see it. But whatever that would be, those numerals. And welcome, Nicole. It's really good to see you. Welcome. Find a way to, there we go. And I get a grandfather clock. There we go. Here's a grandfather clock. Grandfather clock, you see it's got like the classic clock face, the face of a clock. And all the numbers are Roman numerals. And exactly, so 12 o'clock noon, X, I. All right, perfect. What else here? Exhausted. Exhausted. You all. I'm doing really well. I cannot complain. Not I was really tired yesterday. I'm less tired today. That was really good. How are you doing, Annabelle? So exhausted. Exhausted. So exhausted, if you're exhausted, you have no energy, basically. You've spent all of your energy, right? And you're basically now, almost like the opposite of being energized or awake, maybe, something like that. Like the opposite of feeling energized. I'm throwing this word here, energized, full of energy, ready to take on the day, energized. It's kind of an interesting one. Really pumped up. Did I just say the word? Oh, I did say the word. Yeah, I did, didn't I? Super funny. Thank you. All right. Nice, guys. All right. All right. Well, let's put that in here. It's true. I'm less tired today. Do you guys have any good weekend plans? It's the weekend, right? Friday. Yeah, I hope you guys have something good planned. It's a holiday here. Long weekend. It's a long weekend. A long weekend where basically maybe there's a holiday on like the Friday or holiday on the Monday, and so it becomes a little longer than usual. So we call it a long weekend. So here in Canada, we have a long weekend, holiday on Monday. There's some extra time. Kitchen of film. Well, we like trivia. Sometimes we get trivia. So if you know what 13 across is, Keaton of film, put it in the chat, and I will pop it in here. And then otherwise, let's see what else. Gosh, what else we can do? Let's do this one. 17 across. So they say that there is something that brings wisdom. You said we got our sleep time, right? Yeah, the time to sleep. I know, that's what we were talking about here too. Everybody's so tired. We're like, oh, it's just sleep this weekend. It's supposed to be like, it's supposed in Canada, this long weekend is sort of supposed to be like the first official summer is here. The weather is finally nice. It's usually not snowing and things like that. So people go camping and stuff or partying and things. And here, everybody's just talking about sleeping because we're all tired. So they say that there's something that specific that brings wisdom. Wisdom being, having a lot of knowledge, right? Having a lot of, knowledge or experience, right? So this brings us wisdom, they say, right? Something to do with how long we've been on this planet for, maybe that helps. So this thing brings us wisdom. It has to do with maybe how long we've existed on this planet for. That kind of makes sense. Do you have a guess even? This 3-letter word, 17 across. Something that Makes people wise. Close it. Yeah, you got the right idea. So not old. But you're thinking about the right thing. Old age. Yeah, you're definitely thinking about the right thing, right? Because when you're really young, you don't have a lot of wisdom, right? But then obviously, as we get older, we have more experiences, we learn more things, have more knowledge, and we become wiser that way, in theory, right? Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people do. But not old. We're looking for a noun here for sure. Looking for a noun. Hey, Art Graphic, welcome. Steven, how are you doing? Welcome, welcome. All right, I'll just pop it in here. Because you kind of said it. You already kind of said it, Anacool. It is age. They say that age is the bringer of wisdom. So let's like put it in here. Nice. All right. Moving on. Moving on. Dominant. Dominant. Something dominant. Dominant is what? Sort of like stronger, better, maybe older than something else, right? We're talking about hierarchy, right? You know, levels of like spell it. But sort of like ranking, right? So 17 down. So if you think about something dominant dominates something else. So it is maybe like at a higher level or rank of something else, right? We're talking about hierarchy. We'll hear this word used, whatever the answer to this one is, 17 down. We're talking about pack animals almost, often. Wolves, alpha. Exactly. Do that. Nice, guys. All right. Invite. 30 across. So we have an A here, obviously, right? But if you invite somebody to do something, you basically maybe ask them questions about their availability. You're looking for another verb here, maybe. Something that we would do if we have questions about something. About acquiring something. It's hard not to say the answer, ask. Exactly. Great. Awesome. All right. Perfect. You know where they do roll calls? They do roll calls. You would do roll call in like a class. So 28 across a roll call is when, you know, the teacher calls out everyone's name to see if they are present in the classroom. So they'll check attendance, right? So attendance, so to make sure that everybody is attending the lesson or the lecture. And there's a response that people will do, a response that people say when they hear their name called. We're looking for that. Here, exactly. Here's the answer. Put that in there. Great job, guys. Yeah, sorry, I'm so quiet today. Other people are sleeping. So I'm trying not to wake people. You whale. Ooh, I don't know what that is. But we could do this one though. 18 down. 18 down. Strong winds. I think. Ooh, maybe we'll know this word. We might not know this word, eh? This is like a specific type of like a very strong wind. I don't know if we're gonna know this word. This might be a new one for a bunch of us. So these are very strong winds. Very strong winds that might happen during like a windstorm or something. Extremely strong wind. Because I think the word gust, gust kind of comes to mind. I feel like the word gust is one that we would all know, right? A gust of wind, like a brief sort of puff of wind or whatever. But obviously that doesn't fit here because we have an E here. That's kind of interesting. But an extremely strong wind. Almost like a windstorm. A gale, exactly. Gales are going to be our super strong winds. I'll let you know. I mean, I don't hear this word getting used very often by people. So, but it's definitely, what I hear? I hear often gale force. It was gale force winds, I think. Like it'll get used as like in a description about wind. And I just want to double check. Yeah, gale. Okay, so no hyphen. Gale force winds. So these are incredibly strong winds. And apparently they rode on the water or something. Anyways, yeah, we typically talk about gales when you're sailing on the ocean and things like that. So there's strong winds that range from 34 to 47 knots, which is kind of interesting. We use knots as like a measurement for speed, but in the ocean, and they're very dangerous. Anyways, awesome. Let's see what else we can do here. Needle feature. So a needle, thing that we use for sewing, right? Thing that we use for sewing. 24 down. I think the answer for this, so there's like this little spot that you put the thread through on the needle, a little hole. I think we're looking for the name of the hole in the needle. I'm gonna get a picture so we are all on the same page. A picture so we're all on the same page here. You can see the sewing needle, right? We got like the pointy bit. A pointy bit. I don't know what to call it. But we're looking for the name for this little hole. Yeah, it is also a body part. Exactly. Yeah. So this is a part of the needle. The needle where the thread is put through. You would thread a needle, actually. You thread a needle. Usually you thread it with thread. So it's interesting. We could use thread both as a noun and as a verb here, but exactly the eye of a needle. Also, exactly, body part. Also, another eye that comes to mind, the eye of a hurricane or the eye of a tornado, right in the center of a hurricane or tornado. It's the middle of the vortex. It's also the eye. Anyways, great job. Bewail. I think, you know what? I don't know the word bewail. But we can kind of see the word, so bewail, so 23 across, but we can see the word, bewail. We can see the word to wail here, right? Which basically means to cry, right? So I think that this answer here, 23 across has something to do with crying and being really, how to say, being kind of upset. I think this is a word about complaining. So you complain about something, you kind of like whine and complain. Oh, and it's a verb. So to whine and not the right whine. Complain about something, basically. Looking for another great verb. If you're really unhappy and just like whining about how terrible everything is. Oh, that's interesting. So if I think about like whining and complaining. You could also use it to. It's probably even more correct to use it to anyways. Yeah, to lament about something, you kind of cry about something. All right, put that in here. Typically, we'd use it to like express sadness or something, but there we go. My fixed. Okay. Sometimes this crossword does weird things. The mouse. Okay. Anyways, moving right along. I don't know what that is. Powerful people. Let's do another. Oh, I think I have a guess what this one might be. 12 crossed. 12 crossed. So a group of, so labor, right? Labor has to do with working, right? So 12 o'clock, 12 across, like labor. I can spell it with O-U-R, but O-R, American crossword. Labor has to do with work. In this group here, I think we're talking about a group that comes together to sort of represent the workers that are working in a specific company or something like that. Like they're doing a specific type of work. So I think they represent a group of people who represent workers, and they, let's say, advocate for better pay and benefits and regulations, things like that. I think that's what we're looking for. That those groups that represent workers, basically. They kind of join together, make that group, and then they're able sort of like work together as an organization, and then they're able to sort of represent the people who work in that, like a specific industry. I'm gonna give you a hint. It starts with a U. Starts with a U. Just to help you out there. Here's the official definition also, because I know mine was not that great. If that helps even more. An organization that represents the people who work in a particular industry, protect their rights, and may agree pay, working conditions, etc. with their employers. They do all the negotiations, all sorts of things. The union, exactly, a union is going to be a labor group representing workers. Perfect. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, so let's try that one. I think that's what it is. I'm not 100% sure. I think so. Let's do this one. 6 down. Calls it a day. So we have an S here. I'm going to put an S here. So they correspond. But calls it a day. So something, you, something. Basically finishes their day, So that's what it means to call it a day. If you call it a day, it means you are finished working, basically. You call it a day. You stop, basically, for the day. And welcome, Raphael. Welcome. So, Shuts is a good guess, maybe, possibly. We have only one letter before that U. Only one letter before that. You would shut down for the day, though. We could definitely say that, though. Basically meaning the same thing, right? To shut down for the day or to close up for the day. Other ways that we can sort of represent that same idea, but we're looking for something a little bit different. It's kind of interesting, actually. The answer here is kind of interesting because usually we use this word more often in a different context when we're talking about working, for when somebody decides to no longer do their job. They decide that they don't want to work there, and then we will use this verb in that situation. But here we can see that we can also just use it if we're talking about stopping working for the day. So that's kind of interesting. An interesting one. So we had a couple more seconds. I'll give you a hint. Starts with a Q. Let's start with a Q. That in here. Put that in here. So you could also say that you quit for the day, which I know is a less common sort of use of this one. But yeah, you could quit for the day. Usually you would quit a job, like say that you no longer are interested in working there, right? Oops. But yeah, we can also just say that I'm quitting for the day. I'm done. It's over with. So just like another sort of maybe a less common use of that word. But yeah. So let's see what else we can do here. Dun, dun, dun. You know what I think this one is? This busy worker, this 10 down. This 10 down. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, quit. Exactly. Awesome. Great job. Yeah, this busy worker, 10 down. I think this is an insect. They are talking about an insect here. So an insect being, a little tiny, I don't want to say animal, but little legs or whatever like that. And they're typically, you know, busy going from like one place to another. So 10 down, obviously we have an N here, right? But a little a busy working insect. Let's say that. An ant, probably. Exactly, yeah, ant. I definitely think that this is ant as well. So let's do that, eh? Alright. Nice, nice, nice. I would like to see. Okay. Oh, and I talked about this one. I talked about the answer to this one last time I did the crossword. So we should know this one, some of this, maybe. So 9 down, buck's mate. So a mate is basically a partner, right? Usually like it's like talking about animals, maybe. Basically, right? And a buck is a young male deer. So we're looking for the name of a male deer's mate or partner, right? I'm gonna get a picture of a buck just so we are on the same page about what that is. I say like a young male deer, but I mean it's like it's an adult, but it's just like usually sort of like youngish or whatever. But here's a buck. So yeah, so we're basically looking for the name of a female deer, basically. Whatever that might be. A doe, exactly. Yes, exactly. Nice. Let's put that in here. Female deer. I hope this is right. I think it is. Because this is weird. Whatever this is weird. Lecture follower. Well, let's talk about bays in the meantime. So a bay is a body of water. Sort of a body of water. It's kind of sheltered from sort of the open ocean or like a larger body of water. Sheltered part, a sheltered area of water, partially surrounded by land, is protected, right? The larger body of water, right? So we're kind of basically looking for another word for a bay, basically, or maybe a cove, for example. Here we can kind of see in this picture how it's kind of a little bit protected, a little surrounded, right? Definitely a little bit, it's like a trickier word than a bay, right? But an inlet, exactly, an inlet. Yeah, awesome, great job. So we also call it an inlet. What else did I say? I also said cove, right? Cove, sort of another word for that. Nice, 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 nice. You guys aren't going to know this, but a goose egg, so 8 down. If you have a goose egg is basically another word for 0. So if you have a big goose egg, you have a 0, right? Because like a 0 kind of looks like the shape of a goose egg, right? And if you're filling out certain forms and things like that, especially like tax applications and things like that, you will write nil if you have nothing to report. So I'm just gonna pop that in here because nobody's gonna know this. And if you happen to know this one, 7 down, a little trivia question here. Writer rice, or maybe you even just have a guess as to what this name is. Let me know. So 7 down, writer rice. Because that will help. And we'll do something else. What else that might be? Main dishes. Oh, we should be able to do this one. Main dishes. Main dishes, 16 down. So kind of so dishes here, talking about food in this context, right? And obviously there's going to be an S here. We have an S. We're looking for like the name of the main courses or main dishes during a meal, basically, right? So right, because there's a couple different courses typically when you eat a meal. Maybe there's like the appetizer course, maybe there's like a soup salad course, dessert course, and then during like the major part of the meal, maybe you'll have your steak or your chicken or your fish or whatever like that. And all of those big dishes, those main dishes, are whatever this word is. So if you think you know, those sort of important. I'm gonna make it as a gap fill, maybe. That will help. Possibly. So the menu features several appetizers, right? Things that you eat at the beginning of a meal to, say, whet your appetite, make you hungrier. To dinner, whatever this word is, the main dishes, and then 2 desserts. It starts with an E. I'll put that in here. Help you guys out. There's an E in this word. Most important main dish. Give it a couple more seconds. Couple more seconds, let you guys do your final Googling. No, I'm kidding. Entrees. So an entree. So an entree is the entrees are main dishes. And check out that pronunciation because it's a little bit of a weird one. Oh, and also too, this is actually supposed to have an accent on it. I don't have the right keys, but it's like that. We see we have a little accent here. I mean, technically. But yeah, an entree. Let's put that in here. An entree. Yeah. And moving right along. Actually, I'm gonna put this in here. Nobody knows this one. So this is Anne. I think. Not. I think. Entrees. Yeah, exactly. There it is. I knew somebody would get it. That's all good. What else do we have here? Strikeout. Maybe strikeout. I think they mean like in this case, right? Like to strike out something. Means to maybe like put a line in it. Put a line. Well, basically it means to remove something. Maybe if you're editing, for example. So if you strike out something, it means to remove something while editing, for example. I think 15 across. So 15 across. This is some sort of something to do with editing and removing something, removing errors, for example, or something like that, right? So delete. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's going to be delete. So let's try that. Let's try that. Oh, and let's see if we have a lot of information for this one actually now. I know it's like a long one, but sort of a businessy word. 3 down. The long one. But yeah, the logo. So logo usually like maybe like the like an image that represents a product, right? Or rather represents a company, right? TR something DEM something RK. Another thing that might represent a company, a trademark. Exactly. Nice. Nice one. Exactly. Yeah, and I think anyways, I was gonna say something about this, but like now I'm not. But it's basically if you trademark something, it means that nobody else can copy it, right? Basically, like you have like proprietary ownership over something, which means you own something if you're the proprietor or something. I'm just gonna pop this in here. This is Diane. Diane, I think, like that. And if you happen to know what this one is as well, too, 5 down. Sweet Girl of Song. I know we're not really here to do trivia, but you happen to know what that one is. That will really help us out. Otherwise, I think we can do this one, 19 across. Powerful people. Because we have enough information here. Yeah, I think that's Diane. Yeah, exactly. I was confused about this one, actually. This was the airport schedule abbreviation. Because usually I think like ETA, or estimated time of arrival, but I guess this is estimated time of departure. Tricky one. Anyways, 19 across. Powerful people. People that are basically in control, maybe. Actually, I'm not like a huge fan. A huge fan of this. But we might talk about people who are sort of like part of a group, and then talk about people who are sort of on the outside of that group, maybe. So if you have any guesses as to what this one might be, 19 across, we do see that there is an N and an S here. So kind of a very informal way. It's almost like slang. I'm gonna say maybe I think you know. Mm-mm-mm. I think I'm just gonna put this one in here because it's a bit silly. The ins. There you go. There it is. Ins. Yes. But I don't really talk about people in terms of like ins and outs or whatever, but that's fine. People who are the ins. The in crowd. That might be something I would say. Basically people who are part of a group, maybe part of a popular group of people. Versus people who are outcasts. People who are outside of the maybe like the main crowd or something. They're sort of rejected almost. Anyways, moving on. Let's talk about colors. Shade is a color. We're talking about color here. And I think this is we're talking about a very common shoe color. Very common shoe color. I'm thinking like a light brown, because a lot of shoes are made out of like leather, for example, or suede, right? So I think we're looking for sort of a brown color, maybe like so it's not gonna be hue. Not gonna be hue. Hue has to do is definitely a word about color. I think we're looking for the name of a common color for a shoe. A hue has more to do with like talking about the differences between subtle differences between similar colors, things like that. I think we're looking more for like a name of whatever color this is. This sort of light brown color, tan, exactly. I think tan is going to be a very common color for shoes. So let's pop that in here. I'll just see if I can find you better little explanation about. Oh, here we go. We talk about this maybe. So hue has to do sort of like the different colors, right? Saturation might be like how powerful that color is, right? And then we could talk about how like the lightness or the brightness, like how dark or light something is. Yeah, that's kind of, if we're talking about like hue, it's more like talking about comparing colors or something like that, as opposed to like one specific color, if that makes sense. Yeah, but that's a great word to know, though. Very great word. 22 down. 22 down calls for something. Something calls for something. For example, we might say if a recipe, not recipe. I'm trying to think of how people pronounce it. This word is recipe. If a recipe calls for eggs, basically it means you have to have eggs in order to make it. So calls for, so you have to have it. So we're basically looking for another word about maybe wiring something like that. So very, very common verb. Very common verb about maybe requiring something, or it's like it's necessary to have something. And of course here there's an S in here, so I'm gonna put that here. 22 down. Needs, exactly. Yeah, exactly, guys. Needs. Perfect. Awesome. Which brings us. Let's do. I don't even know. This is a cheese. A cheese, a gooey cheese. Something gooey is kind of wet, kind of pulls apart. I'm gonna show you something gooey, maybe like tar, maybe. Here's some gooey. Here's a grilled cheese. This is not the cheese in the answer, but this cheese is also gooey. We can see it kind of pulls apart. It's kind of like, it's not like a solid, it's not a liquid, but it's kind of stringy as well. You have the strings. So we're looking for another cheese. Another cheese that is also pretty gooey. I'm gonna get a picture of it. See if anybody knows the name of it. I think we are talking about. I think we're talking about this cheese. So it's very gooey. It's not solid on the inside. It's also not liquid, right? But a little bit runny, gooey, stretchy. It'll kind of pull apart. Especially if you heat it up, right? Because it melts a little bit. Yeah, whatever this cheese is called. If you have a guess, it starts with a B. I'll put that much in. Put a B in here. See that? I feel like this is a very classic cheese they serve here as an appetizer. So speaking about entrees and having meals with multiple courses, this would probably be a common appetizer here. Cheese with maybe some fruit and crackers and maybe some like camembert. Yeah. Very similar. Yes, right. That's also another one. Obviously, that's too long, but definitely similar. This is a brie. Brie, B-R-I. Brie cheese. I'm not entirely sure where it comes from, but yeah, also similar to a camembert. I don't know if I said that right. I hope I didn't butcher that too badly. But exactly. Awesome. Brie, exactly. Let's see what else we got here. I'll look for. These aren't too bad. I think we can do this one. 27. No, sorry, 29 across. 29 across. 8 away. 8 away. Something eats away. So for example, if rust eats away at metal, it like disintegrates, it destroys the metal. Yeah, I don't think I said that right. Disintegrates. Like that. Disintegrates or destroys the metal. So it kind of like takes it away, right? It breaks it down, right? and kind of ruins it over time. So there's another word too that we can use to describe this process as well, of sort of like that breaking down of something. I might also use it for talking about landscape as well too, like the rocks and things like that, right? How things maybe slowly get taken away by the sea, right? But eroded, exactly. So here's a cliff that's been eroded. You can see eroded. Awesome. Nice. All right, and now I think we might almost have enough information that this should be more obvious here. These staffers. Staffer, not a super. I wouldn't use the word staffer. It's very like casual, very informal way to refer to like as somebody who works as part of a staff, right? Where is it? Let's go. There you go, staffer. Somebody who works as part of a staff. We know the staff is sort of like a team of workers, right? And typically, if we're talking about staff, like staffing, we're probably talking about people who work in an office. So there's maybe some other people. So we're looking for 21 down here. We're looking for maybe people, office workers, right? Office workers. But I'm going to say that they're assistants, office workers that help other office workers. They're assistants. So they're helpers, basically. Obviously, we can see that there's an A, there's an I there. The root word here, there's a root word here also that is a very common, not super common, but a word that also means like helping and assisting, maybe. So there's sort of related words here. That helps you here. Obviously, there's supposed to be an S here. Since these need to agree. Aids, exactly. Yeah. So an aid, when we use so like to aid someone, right? That's gonna be the verb form here of that word, right? But then the noun form, an aid, usually with an E often, someone who aids aids someone, helps someone, exactly. So an aid with an E. Exactly. Awesome. I think we could do this one, actually. This, been avoiding it, but this 26 across here. 26 across sports news items, something that they would talk about in the newspaper, for example. PLAY, something R, new word, something, D, E. I think they're talking about here, they're talking about things that something that a team might do that would get a lot of news coverage. or I should say something that two teams might do that would get a lot of news coverage. So I think almost like when they maybe have a player and then that player goes to play on another team and then somebody from that team comes over and plays in their place, basically. So something to do with rearranging players or renegotiating players, something like that. You basically exchange one thing for something else. The first one is definitely player, right? Player trade, exactly. So when they make those trades, and then usually that gets talked about in the news a lot. I guess, maybe. I don't follow sports, but I would say so. Yeah. Well, let's see what else we have here. Chino, da, da. What's the spree? I don't know. I feel like somebody's gonna know this one. 36 down. I just want to make sure you guys can see it. Yes, you can see it. Yeah, 36 down here. Third bit of film. Happen to know? Did I say that right? Yeah. You happen to know what this one is? 36 down. That will be helpful. 3 letters. Thurman. If not, I might just pop it in. So yeah, so if you happen to do 36 down, put it in the chat. And 37. 37, flow stopper. Something that flows is a river. Something that flows. I think we're talking about a river flow. And it's not like the flow of a river, right? How the water goes. So not Emma. Super close though. Very close. Super close. Super close. There is an M and an A. I'll put that there. Put the M and the A in there. So yeah, so a river flows. And I think this here is something that would stop a river from flowing, basically a dam, exactly. I think that is going to be our flow stopper, a dam. Great job. Put that in there. What else can we do here? Blow away. 41. 41 across. A. In something. 41 across. If you were blown away by something, you are extremely impressed by it, basically. Or maybe you're just like in awe of it. You can also say be in awe of something. And Uma, exactly. Uma is her name. So I'll put that in there. That's helpful. So yeah, just basically looking for like another verb. Usually we would use this more like as an adjective, but yeah, to amaze somebody or be amazed by something, usually more was amazing. That in here. A-M-Z-E. Perfect. Attorney makeup. Attorney, it's like another sports related thing. Attorney, yeah. Also related to sports. And usually what happens during a tourney, so maybe there are like it's sort of like a very informal way to refer to a tournament, right? Okay, so a tourney is like sort of like slang for tournament, right? And usually there will be like a number of different, maybe there will be a number of different whatever these things are, 43 across, something something. There will be a number of these that happen during a tournament, typically, maybe. I guess depending on the type of tournament, but for example, right now there's like hockey playoffs or whatever, so there are a lot of different like hockey, whatever those things are that are happening. They basically figure out who's going to win the championship or something like that. So basically there's these events where maybe like two teams will play against each other, right? Games, exactly. Yeah. I think that one's games. So let's do that one. GAES. Perfect. Awesome. I don't know, we're gonna know this one. I just put this in here. This is nothing. I don't. We'll know this one though. 33 across. 33 across. We will know this. This one. If you're in a hurry, you are maybe like moving very quickly because like to do something or to get somewhere or do something. So maybe you're working very frantically, maybe you're like moving very quickly, something like that. A lot of speed. So we're looking for basically another word, sort of like a similar sentiment. Obviously here we have hurries, right? So it's conjugated hurries. Also going to have a S here as well too, so I can put that in here. Yeah, sort of like another word for if you're moving very quickly, trying to do things very fast. Rushes, exactly. Nice one. Exactly, rushes. Perfect. And this one, I think this is gonna be a new word for you guys. Possibly this tear down, not tear down, but tear down something. Something means to basically destroy something. And usually we'll use tear down to talk about maybe buildings or something like that, right? But here, this answer though, 33 down, R something, Z, E. This word doesn't only mean to destroy one building. It means to completely destroy like an entire city usually. I guess you could also use it for buildings, but I usually think of it more for like cities or something like that. To completely destroy a city or a building, something like that. Raise, yeah. Let's say it was raised to the ground, basically. So raise. Yeah. So I'm just gonna put this in to give you guys an example of this. Yeah, the town was razed to the ground in the bombing raid. Not a building was left standing. Yeah, so interesting word. Not a super common one, but yeah, to completely obliterate something. Obliterate. Another great word that means to destroy something. If you obliterate something, you completely obliterate something, you completely destroy it. It was obliterated, razed to the ground. Nothing was left. Anyways, moving on, 31 down. I think we might have enough information to do this one now. Joins together, so, to unite something together, right? Something use, something es. Another word that we might use for connecting two things together. Joins two things together, basically. And we use this word a lot. Actually, this word in particular often gets used when talking about maybe connecting metal parts to each other. So pieces of metal. So if that helps, maybe. Okay, like connect sort of like two things together. Yeah, to join together, joins together physically, or joins two things together physically, basically. Also, too, I mean, the trivia thing that if it helps here, 31 across is Tina, whatever this person is, of TV. So that might help as well, too. Give you an extra letter in there, if you can think of it. It might be fuses. Fuses, exactly. I think it's fuses as well. So let's do that. Fuses, something fused together, like physically connected together. Exactly. And often I use it or see it used mostly talking about like metals or wires or things like that. But I guess you can use it for bones and stuff as well too. Yeah. There we go. So I got that. Yeah. So if you happen to know this in here, 31 across, let me know. Let me know. Let's see what else we got here. I needed a massage. Trumpish. Cave sound. Let's do this one really quickly. This cave sound, 34. 34 down. Something that you're going to hear in a cave because there's a lot of room, right? Caves are usually big, kind of enclosed, right? So the sound waves kind of bounce off the walls, right? Sound waves would bounce off the wall and you would hear whatever this is. Sort of like repeated sound caused by sound waves bouncing off the walls. A large empty cave. Let's say an echo. You would hear an echo. Exactly. Nice one. All right. So I got an echo. Echo, echo. Oh, we might know what this one is, actually. I know this one's also a long one. We might know what this one is. 20 down. So a fair here, I know fair has a couple different uses, right? Fair could mean something light, right? Fair can also mean maybe like an amusement park sort of thing or whatever. But here I think they mean basically like almost like an what are those like expos where companies come to basically sell products or something like that. Or maybe they try to like show off what products they have to other businesses so they can sell it and things like that. So we're looking for some sort of some sort of another event. Just gonna get a official definition here. Okay, 2 words. My bad. 2 words. Yes, an event at which companies show their products and services to customers. Possible customers, I think that's what we're looking for. I'd also call this like an expo, potentially as well. But yeah, trade show, exactly. Yeah, let's put trade show in here. I like when we get the long ones. It's less work at the end. Okay, cool. Trade show. Here, needed a massage. Needed a massage. If you needed a massage, you probably hurt a lot, right? We can see here that we have the past form of need, right? 30 and 38 across the past form. So we know that the answer needs to also be the past form of a verb in this case. A something ch something. So maybe like was very sore, let's say, and needed a massage, right? Massage being that thing where maybe you like rub somebody kind of hard, you rub their muscles kind of hard with the hands usually, right? Hands and the fingers. I gotta put a D in here. So we know it's gonna sort of end in a past. So yeah, looking for like a word that means, you know, your muscles are very sore. Maybe you're like sore from just overuse, for example, right? Sort of like this dull, uncomfortable pain, as opposed to maybe like an acute, sharp pain, right? Here it's more like dull and maybe a sustained pain over sort of a longer period of time, usually caused by overuse or maybe just being really tired, right? Ached, exactly. Ached. So yeah, so I suppose, yeah, maybe one of the challenges to getting this one was that ache is, we usually use it as a noun, right? You know, like to have an ache, right? Usually use it as a noun, but we can also use it, we'd use it as a verb, but more as a passive, you know, it ached, right? To ache, to have, you know, pains basically. Or, you know, they ached. Anyways, but we can use it. Yeah, we can use it as a verb here. So, what else? So we're so close to getting it done. I'm gonna move this one, but let's do this one. 39 down. Final part. The final part is something. We have an E here, obviously. I think this one should be pretty easy for us to get. E, something. The final part of something. The last bit, right? The opposite of the beginning, right? Something like that. The end. Exactly. We got the end. Let's put that in here. Perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. And I don't know if we're gonna get the rest of these, like, to be honest. If you happen to know this one, this trivia here, 42 across Avignon's River. I think I know what it is. I don't think people are gonna know. You guys are gonna know what this one is, but maybe. Yeah, most of these last ones are gonna be like a little bit tricky. So Rondo, yeah. So let's put that in here. Nice. Yeah. This one here, this 27 down, and we almost use it. Avignon is a French city, exactly. Yeah. It's funny. They don't have this answer here, but this is so put in sol. Oh, okay. Well, we were doing this like this is a verb, right? Put in solid effort. So if you put in solid effort, you're probably going to JR. Yeah. If you put in a solid effort, it means you make a lot of effort. You do everything possible to make something happen. That's basically what we are talking about here. So you would do this, right? Basically, do your best, basically, what we're looking for here. 27 down. 27 down. We're almost done. Try hard. Exactly. You gotta try hard. I was thinking about this answer kind of a wrong way because I was thinking, because also we can use this, we can call someone a tryhard. Call someone a tryhard. It means it's kind of like it's not a good thing to say to somebody, but it means that they try way too hard because they are, I don't know how to explain it, but like they're trying to be better than everybody else or something like that. Something like that. It's very kind of a very negative connotation, but that wasn't the answer. They don't mean it that way here. They just mean like try hard. And then this one, I think this is just dowdy, but which is a word I don't really use. Frumpish though means frumpish. If you're kind of like not really, if you're dressed very well, I think. Like if you're here, they'll use frumpy or frumpish to describe clothes, kind of. Maybe that's like clothes are too big, they don't really match, anything like that. This is a bit frumpy, as opposed to this person is put together. So that's what they mean there. Dowdy, I wouldn't use. I don't. That verb is not, or that word is not part of my vocabulary, but that's what it means if something is frumpy, frumpish, frumpy. Yeah, not attractive or fashionable, fashionable, basically. Dowdy. Anyways, great job, everybody. Really appreciate it. If you're looking to get in contact with me, you can do so directly by sending me either a little email or a message on Telegram. I know that I am doing a lot of conversational classes all about the 1 cent paycheck, so talking about issues with actor pay in the age of streaming, and that's kind of really interesting. So if you're looking to talk about that, get in touch with me, email me, getspeakingenglish@gmail.com, or send me a message on Telegram. And otherwise, I'm going to be back here. So next week on Wednesday, I'm going to be doing the later stream again, so it's late afternoon stream. And then on Friday, I should also be doing an early morning stream at this time. And then after that, things will go back to normal. But anyways, I hope you guys have a really good weekend. It was really good seeing you all. And yeah, I will see you guys later. All right. Have a good one, guys.